May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all. The month of Ramadan passed by in a flash. We didn't even realize, and most of the month has passed. Only a few days remain. Just like the month of Ramadan passed by in a flash, likewise our whole life will pass by in a flash. Let's wake up, let's connect with Allah, let's fulfill our purpose of being in this world, let's keep Allah happy, let's stay away from His prohibitions, and let's follow His commands and let's follow His instructions. With only a few days of Ramadan or so left, we are supposed to be asking ourselves the question, have we gained the objectives of Ramadan and fasting? Have we developed the qualities, the lessons, the objectives that we are supposed to develop in ourselves, that we are supposed to gain? The foremost of those being taqwa, fearing Allah, being God conscious, being cognizant of Allah, being aware of Allah, being mindful of Allah. From amongst many other lessons, we have the lesson of patience that we are supposed to have learnt in Ramadan from fasting, the lesson of self-discipline, the lesson of self-control, the lesson of order, where we do everything according to an order and in an ordinary and normal manner, according to a set system, according to a set timetable. So these are from amongst the lessons. Let's go to the main lesson, the main objective, the main purpose of fasting, which Allah mentions that the reason that He has ordained fasting upon us is to inculcate this quality of taqwa within us, to be cognizant of Allah, to be mindful and aware of Allah. And this is truly a deep and profound quality, and it's not just linked to fasting, but it's also linked to many other aspects of the obligatory acts of worship that we do day in, day out within our lives. Taqwa was wonderfully demonstrated by the great companion Ubay ibn Ka'b radiallahu anh. Ubay ibn Ka'b radiallahu anh, he was asked by Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anh, the second caliph of Islam, the leader of the Muslims, the second caliph of Islam, that what is taqwa? Ubay ibn Ka'b radiallahu anh, rather than answering Umar ibn al-Khattab's question, he posed a question by saying, أَمَا سَلَكْتَ طَرِيقًا ذَا شَوْكٍ? Have you ever passed a pathway that is full of thorns and prickles? Umar ibn al-Khattab responded by saying, Bala, why not? I have. So then Ubay ibn Ka'b asked Umar ibn al-Khattab that, what did you do? Whenever you passed such a pathway, how did you pass? What did you do? مَا عَمِلْتَ? Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anh responded by saying, شَمَّرْتُ وَاجْتَهَدْتُ, that I passed in such a way where I was careful, I looked after my clothes, I made sure that my body doesn't get caught up in the nettles, in the prickles, in the thorns. My clothes don't get caught up in the thorns and prickles. I don't get injured. So in a very careful manner, I passed such a pathway. And then Ubay ibn Ka'b radiallahu anh mentioned that this is exactly what taqwa is. In essence, mentioning that in life, a person is supposed to focus on the straight path, the Siratul Mustaqim, the path towards Allah the Almighty. All the evil things, the vices, the bad things in life, like those things that invite us to sin, our evil desires, the traps of Satan, bad company, the sins and the vices, all these are those thorns and prickles in life. We are supposed to be very careful, be cognizant and aware of Allah the Almighty, be mindful of Allah, stay away from all these sins, stay away from all those things that attract the displeasure of Allah, and stay on the straight path and just focus on the Siratul Mustaqim that leads us to Allah the Almighty. Don't go right and left to the vices of life, to the evils of life, those things that attract the displeasure of Allah the Almighty. And this is exactly what taqwa is. We live life in a way where we ask ourselves the question before doing anything, is Allah happy with what I'm doing? Is Allah going to be happy with what I'm about to do? This is the question. This is the level of awareness of Allah we are supposed to have in our lives. Now, there are only a few days or so left for Ramadan. Sadly, there may be individuals that never fasted throughout this whole month. There may be individuals that never stood in qiyam at night throughout this month. There may be individuals that never even made dua, never raised their hands to Allah the Almighty in this month. There may be individuals that never even opened the Quran and looked in the Quran even once. But for those individuals, they do not need to despair. They do not need to lose hope, because Allah the Almighty clearly tells us in the Quran, قُلْ يَا عِبَادِيَ الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ لَا تَقْنَطُوا مِنْ رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ. Say, O my servants, those servants that have transgressed themselves, do not lose hope in the mercy of Allah. Our religion, Islam, is a caravan of hope and mercy. Is a religion that shows us positivity, that tells us there's always hope for us. Allah the Almighty's mercy knows no limits, it knows no bounds. So we can still connect with Allah. There are still a few days left and we can still turn back to Allah. We can still fast for the remaining days. We can still stand in qiyam at night in the remaining days. We can still make dua to Allah. We can still supplicate. We can still recite Quran. Like the Prophet ﷺ tells us, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالْخَوَاتِيمِ, the actions are according to their endings. We can still make the ending of Ramadan our ending great in the eyes of Allah. And Allah the Almighty, He will overlook our beginning. He will overlook our shortcomings. He will overlook our not taking advantage for the majority of the days that have passed. So we can still connect with Allah for the remaining days, because actions are according to our endings. And like the Prophet ﷺ, he teaches us in hadith that there are individuals that live a life of vice, live a life of evil, live a life of attracting the displeasure of Allah the Almighty, but their later stages of life is such that they do actions of the people of Jannah, the people of paradise. And this is so beloved to Allah the Almighty that because their later stages of life are stages of attracting the pleasure of Allah, keeping Allah happy, Allah the Almighty will admit them to paradise. So for this reason, we can still take hope. If we have not made the most of Ramadan, we still have a few days left. Let's attract the mercy and pleasure of Allah. Let's connect with Allah fully, properly, in an appropriate manner, in a manner that transforms us, in a manner that makes us better individuals. But on the other hand, those individuals that have made the most of Ramadan, we still have a few days left. We can't slack in the remaining few days. We still have to connect with Allah. We still have to build a relationship with Allah. Let's not lose those good days that we have passed. Let's maintain that spirit, that good spirit of doing good and connecting with Allah. And let's maintain this spirit even after Ramadan as well. I pray Allah the Almighty give us the ability to act upon everything that has been said. And I finish off with the saying that do not count the days, rather make the days count. Jazakum Allahu khaira. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.